Leicester at home to Chelsea at the weekend. I must admit, as you say, it's always easy with benefit of hindsight, but I couldn't see anything other than a Chelsea win, and a fairly convincing Chelsea win.
The biggest compliment I can pay Thomas Tuchel is I look at fixture list now and I don't even look at the team news on who Chelsea's got fit or not. I always think
right, they'll do it.
Just so well organised and coached. The sign of a good side is always when certain personnel are missing and they still have the same confidence, the same shape, the same threat.
Yeah.
Okay, Lukaku, of course, he's going to make them better. I get that. But even without him and Werner recently, they still just got fought. Machine.
Yeah.
Very, very disciplined in what they're trying to do. Very well coached. They defensively, it's as good as you can. They're as good as that's out there. Mm. Since he's come through the door, the way that he's set them up defensively, there is an argument at times. I know they've won 3-0 at Leicester, that they are a tad pragmatic. At times only playing 2 attack, maybe 3 at the weekend, but a couple of times recently he only played 2 forward players and the rest all defensive. Well, it's so hard to play against, Jim.
Yeah, yeah.
And talk about a group of players on board with the manager.
Exactly. Yeah.
I said the same about Liverpool. They play differently, of course. We know how Liverpool's style is, but they're on board with what the manager
Sure,
wants.
they dance to his tune.
Exactly.
The tune that was coming out of Brendan pre-match, Simon, was slightly unusual to me when he was asked about this constant being linked with Manchester United.
What did he say?
Called it a disrespectful question. Well, it's the right question to ask because he is constantly linked with Manchester United. But 2 wins in 9 now for Leicester. And then boos from the home fans. Simon, your take on this in a second, but this was Brendan biting back. Was he right to bite back?
We're a team that in the last couple of seasons have overachieved. That's the reality of it. I never lose a sense of perspective. We want to come in here, we know what our budget is, and we know where we sit in that hierarchy as such, but we've always tried to disrupt that and be up there. And for these two, and that's what disappoints me a little bit with the with the supporters. 2-0 down, they're getting booed off against the European champions and everything that they've given this club over this last couple of years. So we need the support. We're not feeling entitled to be there. We know we have to fight and give everything, and the players being at the top of their level in order to be there. And if we're not, then we end up in this area of the league that we're in.
What's your take on that, Simon? I mean, he's virtually saying to them, come on, realise what we were, what we are now, what we've come to be. Get a sense of perspective. He says he's disappointed. Disappointment. Disappointing. Hate that word. Hate the word. It should never be used.
We're all disappointed when we don't receive the response that we think we should. Brendan Rodgers didn't come to the Premier League to not finish in the top 6 of that division. That's why he came to Leicester, to manage in the Premier League after a very successful period at Celtic. He can't now say that we're overachieving because that's what he came for. That's what he was brought in to do, and that's where Leicester were stabilising themselves or looking like they had the direction of travel to go in that way, and that's why Brendan was brought there. He knows the animal, he knows the beast. On one hand, he's saying that you can't be disrespectful about linking me to Man United because I want to show and exhibit to the Leicester fans that I'm fully committed to the cause. On the other hand, the moment he gets something he doesn't like to hear, he's turning around and saying people have got to remember where we've come from. That's not how football works, Brendan. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone from Swansea to Liverpool if you remember where you came from, right? People see things in you. You've got to push forward and you've got to push the envelope forward. I do think that Leicester fans do have to remind themselves that they've got a very good manager in that dugout and a very decent group of players that have been affected slightly by injuries this season. I know a lot of the other sides have, but on the whole, I think Leicester, despite some slightly missing performances, I think, in Europe where they've been in front in games and handed them back to the opposition. Yeah, I know they're 15th in the league or wherever they are right now, but that's a temporary moment in time. So I think Brendan's right. If fans can give it, then managers can give it back. But I also think you've got to get some context. You've got to treat both of them the same way. You shouldn't be dancing on the rooftops when you win something, and you shouldn't be looking to find excuses when you lose something.
I think you should be honest. I mean, he's a victim of his own success. I think he was bang on with the interview. Absolutely bang on. To be sat in the top 4 for the last 2 seasons and miss out on the last day and win the FA Cup over the last 2 seasons with the squad compared to the others he's had, they've overachieved. 100% overachieved. Yeah,
but and fair play him for that. But Simon's right. That's why he left Celtic. To do exactly what he's doing at Leicester.
I don't think his remit it was to go there and get him in to promised them that he was going to get them in the top.
Back into the Premier League and manage a mid-table Premier League side.
Of course, he wasn't.
He could have gone to Arsenal and other places like that.
It was to progress. It was to progress them and make them competitive, which is exactly what he did. And to miss out on the top four on the last day, 2 seasons makes them competitive, and they won an FA Cup. So he's ticked the boxes there, and that's why I'm saying he's a victim of his own success. Because when you get success as a player or a manager, of course, you know, Simon, the fans expect it the season
but
after.
Ask him a question. Does he think he's an elite manager? Because what he's doing is comparing and contrasting the spend. He's basically saying, because other clubs spend money and his club doesn't spend the same amount of money, that's the end of the discussion. Then ask him another question. Are you one of the top 6 managers in the division? You get a different answer, because he'll tell you he is.
Yeah,
so then what are you underachieving with? Are you underachieving because you can't match people pound for pound? Or are you underachieving because sometimes you're not doing what you need to be doing at times? Which one is it?
Yeah,
I like Brendan. I'm a huge admirer of Brendan's, and I think he's one of the top managers in the division.
Yeah, I agree.
And right now, Brendan would be best served getting the team winning games and shutting down the Boo Boys by winning games rather than biting back when they don't.
Yeah, but I think there's an inevitability about managers speaking their mind when they get asked questions. They're not. You can't bat everything away all the time. You've got to show some honesty and emotion and passion for the job. And if you're annoyed that the fans are booing, say it.
And that's true too.
You know, I do think there's a balance. Look, it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me there's a link with Brendan and United at all. Do I think he'd take it? Yes, I do.
Oh, Danny, that was disrespectful.
I think he would, but it's very awkward for a manager to be asked a question about another job, isn't it? When they're in a job. I mean, if you really want to distance yourself from it, you can turn around and say, "I would never manage Manchester United because I'm Leicester manager. I love the job here, and I won't be going there." That's what you could say.
Yeah, but it's a fair question.
But why would you say that?
Is he an elite manager when Pochettino isn't? Is that what you're telling me?
I think no.
That he'd be a good fit for United.
I think I'd go with Brendan ahead of Pochettino. Yeah, I would.
Why?
I think the experience at Liverpool. I think the experience
having arguably the most dominant front line in the Premier League at that time and
he
handing the Premier League over.
Well, let's remember how he created the front line and changed the front line mid-season to become title contenders to a diamond and played Sterling behind Suarez and Sturridge. Let's remember how he did that. But he's been at a massive club and understands the expectation. I know Poch is at PSG and I know he's at Tottenham. It's a big club, but it's not the same expectation being at Tottenham as it is at Liverpool and Manchester United. So he's got that little bit of extra experience by managing Liverpool rather than Tottenham. That would put me ahead of Poch. They're both tactically good.
Even though both of these guys are in a job, Brendan's in a job, Pochettino's in a job, and it's disrespectful. But you would take Brendan over Pochettino.
We'll take away the disrespect of asking.
We're coming on to 11:30. Determined to get a quick bulletin, then we're back to you, Danny.
I would take Brendan over Poch. Yes.
Okay.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.